My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of The Tomorrow War. Now, I've been excited for this movie ever since I heard the premise of people coming from the future to the present to gain extra troops to fight the war that they're facing. And I think that's a really cool idea, and the movie does deliver on that. But not only does it deliver on that, it also delivers on some emotionally charged, character-driven plot points, and that really surprised me. This movie is deeper than I thought it was going to go, and the characters do come first. And that could be a letdown for some people who just want this to be a turn off your brain action sci-fi movie, because it's not that. It's a lot more character-centric than you're willing to expect. And that doesn't mean there's not action sequences. There is, but those don't come first. The characters come first and the action comes second. And that's what I like in movies like this. This movie never forgets its heart and soul. And because of that, the movie constantly has stakes. And you feel for the characters and you want them to succeed. And because of that, the entire movie is a lot more emotionally charged. Where when you're watching the action go down, you're a lot more invested than you would have been otherwise. I've always found the idea of people being drafted to war to be absolutely terrifying. Like if I was drafted to war, I'd be shot dead within 2 seconds. Like, I am not a military type. And just to watch that idea and how they execute it here and how it affects not just the person getting drafted, but their family, you really do feel the emotion behind it all. And I thought Chris Pratt was great in this movie. He was the perfect leading man, and even though I did like him in this movie, I always found that he took his career in the wrong directions, because after Guardians of the Galaxy, he was in Jurassic World, and then he kind of stayed with the big blockbusters, but I think that Chris Pratt should have actually geared towards more the comedy genre. I think that's where he could have really excelled in. That said, he's still really good in this movie. I don't care what the internet says, because the internet's a bunch of judgmental assholes, and I think Chris Pratt's a good guy and a good actor. Yvonne Strahovski, I probably mispronounced that, but she's also really good in the movie. There is one moment where she is really good in this moment, but it's definitely like, let me showcase my acting chops. And she succeeds, but that moment really sticks out in that way. And while I was watching the movie, if you stop and think about the time traveling mechanics, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Actually, the more you think about it, the more that the entire foundation that the movie's based on is just falls apart. But this movie actually does a way to rectify that, in my opinion, because the entire last act went in a direction that countered my biggest complaint with the movie up until that point. Because once the last act kicks into gear, I'm just like, see, okay, they did that. That makes sense. Why didn't they do it sooner? And I love the direction they took the story in the last act. I know lots of people are saying this movie's too long, but I didn't mind because the last act was definitely the highlight of the movie for me. And I gotta say that the alien designs in this movie are pretty badass. I thought they were really unique and sinister looking in their own way. Because of the designs, there is tension in the action sequences, but the action scenes themselves don't really stand out too much. It's just kind of, okay, shooting, running for their lives. The action sequences don't stand out in this movie. I also dug some of the visuals in this movie. There's a few really good looking moments, especially in the beginning when he arrives into the future and the clouds are like red and gray, and it just looks really cool. Or even later in the movie when he goes to the future. Again, like, that's not a spoiler alert, I promise you. And like, just the way it looks, I found it to be very interesting. But even though this movie does put the characters and the emotion first, there are elements of the movie that do feel a bit generic, and I wish there was a bit more visual flair, a visual style, and a bit more energy to this movie, because lots of it does kind of look and feel generic despite me caring about the characters. I just kind of wish that the director did a bit more with this movie. There are a few moments where the music is a bit too much and the editing is a bit too much, and it just doesn't flow that good. I also think that the movie didn't utilize the premise as much as it could have. And because it's a blockbuster, this movie has to have a joke here and there, and the comedy in this movie did not work for me at all. I never found it funny, I never laughed. Wish that blockbusters didn't always try to be like the MCU, and all the jokes completely fell flat for me. And lots of the supporting characters, especially like his team of people in the future, I didn't find them interesting, so the movie kind of falters in that. This movie might not be the greatest blockbuster ever, but I still had a good time with it. And like I said, it's a character-centric movie with real emotions. There is a great premise that goes in some unexpected directions, especially in the last act, that I really dug. I like the alien designs. I kind of like the world building here. And even though it does feel a bit generic, the script isn't as good as it could be, and just certain elements didn't work for me, I still found this to be a perfectly fine, enjoyable movie. So I'm going to go ahead and give The Tomorrow War a 6.5 out of 10. Did you watch The Tomorrow War, or are you waiting till tomorrow? If so, like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.